Okay, so I better begin, and I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Gerry Audell, and I'm the president of One Channel North America, and we produce a product that's been available in Acumatica for a couple of years called One Retail. And what I really wanted to go over today was a brief overview of what has changed in the last few years with regard to retail. And without a doubt, retail has gone through a bit of a metamorphosis. The online stores and the web integration has become a big thing. And there's a lot of trends towards acquiring customers through internet and internet related integrations like mobile apps and that sort of thing, where you're picking up references to customers and building a database of contacts. There's also been a trend away from what we call traditional retail to a more of an omni-channel retail. And again, it's largely driven by the availability and popularity of web stores. But behind all of that, there is a lot of movement to expand retail, the brick and mortar side of it as well. And to do this correctly going forward, there has to be a blend of the two different, or the three or four different ways that customers connect to your retail data. The web store is one of the ways. Your sales desk, order desk, web order, and outbound sales are all traditional and will remain the same. But retail it needs to be integrated into all of these other forms of retailing, and that's really what we're here to talk about with regards to One Retail. So, what is a traditional retail application? Processes customer-facing transactions. That's the big difference between a web store and a traditional retail, a brick and mortar retail location or store. What we bring to the table with a traditional retail application is higher processing speeds. We can do a single line transaction in a few seconds, as opposed to an order entry style of transaction processing, which would be 2 to 3 minutes. In general, we can handle high volumes of data, so not unusual for a POS till to process 400, 500, 600 transactions a day. So we can get into very significant volumes of transactions. The next thing on the list is the fact that retail systems need to account for and manage cash. Traditionally, orders that are placed over the web or through an order desk of some form don't deal with cash directly and payments directly, though they can, through web stores and that sort of thing. But they don't deal with cash. And retail systems, if you still accept cash, and most retail businesses do, you have to be able to manage it. And it's another point that we bring to the table. And the fact that we can process cash transactions, we have to do them efficiently and process the payments quickly as well. And to do that, we integrate to card present, credit card processing for better rates. And with that comes EMV and Apple Pay and all the other forms of payment integration that are available in a card present world. And that's Card present is basically where you have a pin pad, and you know, in some manner the card gets into the pin pad and is approved or disapproved. So that processing has to be part of the retail system, and that's something that we've done a lot of work in with One Retail in that area. Modern retail systems will have a much more important role in a digitally transformed business. And that means that we have to integrate to the order processing data, to the invoices that are in existence inside of the ERP database, the retail component of the ERP database, which is something that One Retail does. And the other thing that we have to be able to do, and do again in One Retail, is process e-commerce or web orders as if they were entered inside of Acumatica directly. So in the trade or in the industry, it's called BOPUS, buy online, pick up in store, or something along those lines. Basically, what happens is the orders are placed on the web, and traditionally they're paid for in full before you process the order, but sometimes they're not. And sometimes people will come into a store and pick up the order and pay for it at that point, place the order on the web and pick up in the store, or have it shipped from the store. And again, that's something that One Retail does. There are shortcomings to e-commerce stores. The bane of web stores is return and exchange processing and doing refunds. They're very, in most cases, they're awkward or not possible. And a perfect example of that is Amazon quite often now will tell you if you want to return or exchange something, it's just not worth it to them to do that. So they'll tell you to keep it or throw it away or donate it to a charity or something along those lines if you wanted to return something for some reason. They evaluate the value of it, and the majority of the time they just tell you to get rid of it. Where this is all going and where modern retail systems are growing is towards getting a high profile of the customers, a 360-degree view of the customer activity. And that means that all of the orders, all of their transactions, their payments, anything about the customer needs to be available, stored in the ERP database, and be available from other parts of the ERP database. So if you place a web order, you create a customer account. That customer account needs to be inside of the ERP database and available for the POS system to use if the customer wants to place an order in a store or wants to do a return or any of those sort of things. So there's quite a bit of synergy between the different places where customers interact with the company, and the end result is that over time you'll have a very complete set of information about your customers, including the 360-degree view, which means that all their activity with your organization will be within the database, and you can do a lot of things to facilitate the customer experience, make it better for them to deal with you quicker, offering discounts, and there's a whole wide array of options that can be presented to customers once you know that they're buying from you regularly and that sort of thing. And it leads to improved customer service, better responsiveness, ability to easily do returns or refunds or credits at the store, as opposed to putting a sticker on something that you bought on the web and going through the pain of returning it. It doesn't have to be that way. And one of the things that this is leading to, and why we're saying that the traditional retailing is really changing, there's a big movement in retail to open more retail stores, usually smaller stores, to get closer to the customers, to make it easier for them to be able to do returns and refunds and to shop. And if you know a lot about your customers in a given area, you can know what to stock in the store, what customers in that region are buying or that area are buying, and make the stores more efficient and improve your customer service. And this is basically what I was just alluding to. The modern retail businesses are opening smaller stores with less stock and higher turnover items, and the ability to ship orders from the store to the customer, or have the customer come in and pick up the items that they've ordered or that they want to buy, and also to come into the store to shop. That's all about improving the customer interaction and shortening, in the trade they call it shortening the last mile, the last little bit of distance between your customer and your store. The goal is to remove it. And like I said, there's quite a movement on to increase the number of stores, as and I think the common thought is that people are because of the web ordering capabilities, people or retail businesses are reducing the retail outlets, and that's usually not the case now. So having said that, I'll just drop out of the presentation and open up One Retail. Anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask them. So this is One Retail. It's a template-driven application. So what you're looking at is a particular layout that's driven by a template. There are a number of different templates, but this is the default template. In a quick overview, the system has a number of options at the top, an area for building a transaction, number pad and transaction type buttons. On the left-hand side at the top are a number of boxes that are all oriented to selecting a customer. A data entry bar for entering barcodes, item numbers, whatever you want to do to select an item. So as an example, I type in the word baby. I can search and find 3 or 4 items that have the word baby associated to them. And if I click on one of them, I can bring it into the transaction. Same thing with below that is a grid by item class. In this case, it could be by categories, but it basically is broken down the inventory into a series of buttons that you can choose to select and process transactions with. And as simple as either using a touch screen or a mouse and keyboard, you can select items. And then when you got everything in that you want to, hitting the enter key takes us to a payment area where you could have a large number of different tender types: cash, Visa, credit card, MasterCard, loyalty points, gift cards, coupons. There's a long list of different types of payment types that you can have set up. In this case, I've just set up two simple ones so that you can see how it tenders information. So I'm choosing cash. I can put in the exact amount or count out bills or whatever, accept, and then print a transaction. So it's very quick as far as getting the transaction in. You can see if I have a default customer, a single line transaction can be done in 6 or 7 clicks, of a mouse, and processed easily within 10 seconds or so. I won't really get into how the system is integrated into Acumatica technically, but any transactions that are done at the tills are automatically sent to Acumatica based on a schedule that you define. And this is the inside of Acumatica. One retail adds 2 different menu options, a retail and a customer experience. The retail module has a number of screens and reports. The basic premise of the application, the basic development of the application, was done using the Acumatica SDK, and we've been certified in Acumatica as an application. So we follow all the rules and use the SDK and the framework and everything else that you would expect. But the transactions that we just did will arrive in Acumatica in as little as a minute or so, and are available for posting or can be set on an automation process to post. And it's just as simple as selecting them, processing, and these transactions will then make their way into Acumatica, into the order processing area, as sales orders or invoices in Acumatica. And from there, they're posted as any other business transaction. So we can have either errors or processed transactions, but if they're processed transactions, they will, again, make their way into the AR and into the sales order area. The transactions that are brought into one retail are a full recap of the transactions. And here is an example of a transaction. A lot of information is stored. Basically, 100% of the transaction detail is brought into Acumatica and is available for reporting. And if I go back out to the application itself, to fill in some of the blanks, I mentioned that we can do retail processing transactions, orders and invoices and returns. And to do an order, select a customer. Let's just go to bartender, well-known customer in Acumatica. Choose to do an order. Put some items on an order. Press the enter. We can put a deposit on it or not, and send the order directly to Acumatica, and it will be processed inside of, or be available in Acumatica. Sorry, I'll just go in here and already processed. It comes in as a layaway, but that's to differentiate the transaction from order, sales order types. But but they're brought in and posted live into Acumatica. And if I wanted to go into to look at them, I can select the customer, go into this orders tab, and look for orders. And the system will search through the existing orders. And invoices.
It's just her return and the bill.
Hey, I just wanted to let you know that you have a question in the chat from Tim Rodman. He said, you might have mentioned it already, but can the POS operate offline?
Oh, yes. Good question. One of the big differentiators of One Retail is the ability to work offline. And it's why the software was designed the way that it's designed. It most definitely does work offline. Sorry, there's the, I was trying to get the existing orders for an application or for a customer, USA Bartending School. And you can see there are open orders. I have the ability now to view the details and fully invoice the application from the store. And this is getting into the BOPUS that I mentioned earlier. The other things that are here, what you would expect, we can do sales, orders, invoices, returns, credit notes. We can do quotes. We can do cash paid in, cash paid out, and apply payments on account or payments on an invoice from the till. And so you can really get a high degree of integration to Acumatica and the customer, and increase the overall customer experience by doing that. The other things that are here are quite standard as far as for instance, having the ability to add a customer at the till, changing the warehouse. If we wanted to edit a transaction and change the warehouse that the stock is drawn from, you can. There's a rather complete set of options or features in One Retail, and there's more coming. All the time as the application grows. But it's capable of doing an awful lot of transaction processing at a very high speed. And of course, as Mr. Rodman said there, or asked, we have the ability to work offline and do most of the processing. What you give up, what you lose, is anything that requires direct integration, direct feeds from Acumatica. And the way that we get or deal with that is the application will hold the transactions until it's possible to connect and do them, complete them, post them to Acumatica, and then the transactions will be processed through. I've got about 4 minutes left. And I was going to ask if there are any questions.
Go ahead and switch to the session tab. that's where questions would come in. At the very top, it says event, and then so push cancel on that. Click the little computer button at the bottom where you shared your screen.
Okay.
Yep, that one. And then at the top on the right-hand side where you're in the event chat right now, just switch over to where it says session. And you should see the question from Tim.
I'm clicking on the sessions and it's not. I don't see that.
Oh, it's just on the chat. So like right below the profile at the top. Yeah, you can switch between the events.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah. No, don't be sorry. That's where Tim's question was. But if anyone had any other questions, you have a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
No questions?
Doesn't look like it, but if anyone does have any questions, you can find the One Channel booth in the expo hall. Oh, Tim had a question for you.
Does it work on an iPad? Another good question. Currently, it requires a Windows 10 as a basic requirement, but the iPads are coming. We're waiting for an upgrade from Microsoft that's going to be out in the beginning of 2022 sometime. And when that's available, we'll be supporting iPads and Android as well. So that's hot on the list. Okay, if there are no more questions, we're down to having a minute left. So if we have no more questions, I guess we're done. I'll be sitting here waiting if anybody wants to ask anything. Otherwise, thank you very much for your time.